PYX 106.
1-800-LAW-1010, 1-800-LAW-1010.com. Paul Harding from Martin Harding Mazzotti on the phone.
Morning, Paul.
Good morning, guys. Good morning.
Paul, if I'm in a three-piece suit and a tie and I want to go sit down on the steps of City Hall and finish my coffee while I collect my head before I go and contribute to society.
In Saratoga.
Legally, am I allowed to do that?
Well, effective now, you are subjected to a potential violation, a fine, and if you keep doing it, you could end up in jail.
So, Paul, what's your impression as to why the city council enacted this law?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. I think that this is sort of a law to kind of help the agencies and police deal with the homeless. So I think they sort of couched it in this thing that says, hey, if you're sitting on a sidewalk or laying on the sidewalk, you're going to get a fine. If you can't pay the fine, you're going to go to jail. And they're not the first city to do this. This is in well over 100 cities. I just kind of scanned briefly this morning. But usually, once you have a law like this in place, they've got more homeless shelter programs in place to sort of compensate for the additional arrests.
So the vibe I get, and I understand and realize how difficult it is to be a small business owner, especially in a city like Saratoga where rent is, leasing, space is ridiculous. Like there was pressure from the shop owners, wasn't there, to get this done?
Yeah, everyone's kind of running from this a little bit right now because it kind of got passed 4-1. So the mayor was objected to it. Everybody else sort of said it was a good idea, and then it was kind of quiet for a while. But then the word got out, then they had this protest, and it just looks like they're picking on the homeless. Now, homeless, it's not as if a situation, you're a shop owner, it's not going to help, right? So, yeah, I think the shop owners were looking to make the streets as pristine as possible. And I just think that right now, your first example is a great one. I think if I were sitting on the steps of City Hall finishing my Starbucks, I think the police would walk right by me.
I should say this: police chief who stood across from that peaceful protest during the goings on said he doesn't expect arrests under the law. He says I would not expect the police to be vigorously enforcing the ordinance, and it goes on a little bit, talking about aggressive panhandling and that kind of thing. But then he comes back and is quoted as saying, generally, sitting on the sidewalk is not a problem. What do you do when you get a ticket? And you were generally sitting on the sidewalk, and according to the guy who gave you a ticket, that wasn't general enough for him. I mean, where's the law?
Yeah, I guess what the chief is saying, look, we're not going to jump over this new statute just because we have the ability now to inquire and talk to people and maybe roust them and give them tickets. We're just not going to do it. Police have discretion, so their discretion sounds like this is not going to change the way they're doing business. But critics of the law say it just gives them more opportunity to engage folks who maybe is simply just taking a little break and sitting down. Of course, they put the exceptions in there. I love seeing that. They said, well, if there's a parade, it's okay, or if there's a medical emergency, it's okay, because you can't want to arrest somebody for
having a heart attack on your sidewalk.
Hey, get up, you lazy bastard!
I cannot walk.
Here's your ticket. If you die, if you don't die, make sure you make it to the county courthouse.
Yeah, got a court date.
Yeah.
So they just crafted this thing. It really is sort of a.
I think it's important to note, though, Paul. It's important, and we're well, at least me. I know I'm against it, and as is the mayor of Saratoga, but I'm against it. Not to get all happy and free thinking about the homeless people in town, but I love the culture of a small town that has buskers and it has people that hang out and make stuff and that kind of thing. And I just feel like it's a bad direction to go.
Sure, and a lot of people are right in your corner. I mean, that protest it was small, but the amount of social media that came after that was quite large. So they may be revisiting the statute in its entirety, or they may hope this thing just cools down and police probably won't do a whole lot this summer. But once it's on the books, it is something that it is an option the police have to talk to people and remove them.
It was interesting at the beginning of this interview, Paul said that just a quick scan showed 100 cities and towns doing this. And
sure.
Quinn and I used to work and live in Northampton, Mass. And at one point they actually removed all of the benches in downtown to try to curb this problem. It didn't work, and they brought the benches back.
It's one of the great things about that town.
Right.
Is that.
Last question for me, Supreme Court me, Paul. If I go to the Supreme Court, I'm winning this. If I go to the Supreme Court, I'm able to sit down on the sidewalk, aren't I?
You probably could. If you had just under $3 or $4 million to get there, and you had lots of support. I do think it's one of those statutes that somebody really takes a hard look at this. They look at the utility. Why'd you do it? And sure, I think if it's really scrutinized, that they may at least have to rewrite the statute because on its face it does seem to have some holes.
All right. Well, very good, sir. Thank you. We start looking into the copyright laws for Trump's "Make America Great Again" for next week, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Trump launched the written the hats, but not the apparel.
Yeah, like so some DJ bought the rights to like the apparel version of "Make America Great Again,"
and then bribed him to make a donation to St. Jude's Children's Hospital to get it back, and he did.
Yeah,
so
maybe we can talk about that next week.
But how he misses that loophole?
Yeah. All right, Paul. Have a good one, buddy.
Yeah, sounds good, guys. Thanks.
All right, Paul Harding from Martin Harding Mazzotti, 1-800-LAW-1010, 1-800-LAW-1010.com.
Quinn and Cantera, mornings on PYX 106.